Hi again. I have pulled up on the screen, as you can see, our first assignment. You have access to this on Brightspace. I'm also going to explain it a little bit um, and kind of justify or explain the reasoning behind this assignment. The thing about professional writing and formats is that the format itself is kind of universally recognized, and therefore it already starts to communicate before the reader has even read any of your text. So being able to prepare a memo is important. Maybe getting less so because if you think about it, an email is actually already set up as a memo, and we kind of use email as a replacement for that formally printed out communication that often went within a corporation, company, institution, whatever, to various people. But at any rate, I think it's a good first exercise to really practice simplifying your language and really striving for clarity. So that's why we start with that. It also helps me to kind of connect with you a little bit, because if you look, there are some parameters here. I want you to construct a one-page memo. Memos are one page. That's the whole point of memos, is they're short blurbs. A one-page memo to me, so I am the recipient, outlining your goals for this semester's course. Do you have specific skills you hope to develop? Do you have any issues you wish to overcome? That's it. Very, very straightforward. You're just going to simply respond to those prompts. But it is important that you respond to those prompts, hence why you need to read the assignment expectations and listen to the videos. So things to consider. Your textbook has an example of a memo, so you'll know exactly how to set it up. Basically, the rules are you single space within your text, and then you double space between chunks, sections, paragraphs, however you want to think about that. One thing that's going to be consistent throughout professional writing is to make sure you're using a clear, easy to read font. Generally speaking, it's a 12 font. However, if you happen to work in a space that had a lot of visually impaired folks, you might increase that font, right? It depends, but generally speaking, it's a 12, very neat font. And just as a little aside, sans serif fonts are actually, it's been discovered, are easier for a larger audience to read. Some folks that have like dyslexia find that not having the tails on the font makes it easier to read. So for example, this is a sans serif font. So you want to choose something that's very simple, easy to read, nothing overly decorative. Keep it to one page, consider your audience, which is me, and submit it to Brightspace. Very, very straightforward. Obviously, if you have questions, give me a holler, but I think this is pretty clear. Now, I did pull up somewhere here. You can do this as well. I simply Googled memo templates. You do not need to use a template. Just put it into a Word doc. It's just as easy. But again, just so you can kind of see how you set it up. This is a terrible choice that I picked because it's not in English, but this is the same idea. It's subject, date, to, from, and then the memo itself. And you can see this. Let's just pick a different one. I don't like any of these. Well, you could if I hadn't destroyed this. Here we go. Come on. To, from, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm going to stop doing that because it's going to hurt your eyes. But you get the idea. There's a clear example in your textbook. As I said, maybe this is becoming a little less of a common thing. We don't usually print out this kind of thing anymore. It tends to go through email, but I think it's still good practice. It's also really good to think about formats in a professional setting when you're considering your audience and your purpose, because that's really going to help determine what your format should be. A memo is for something usually that's timely and quick. It is not a place for a long, complex series of instructions or explanations or something like that. It should be something that's kind of time sensitive usually and a quick communique. And because of the way it's formatted, I look at it and I know instantly it's a memo, and that already gives me some information. And because the to, from subject gives me a little bit more information before I've even delved into your letter, right? To your communication. So this is really important to follow those rules for those reasons, is that there's a lot more that's being communicated kind of in between the lines, kind of non-verbally, just by the format that you've been choosing. So other things to think about: make sure that you are editing well. There will be another video here giving you a very, very brief overview of writing skills, very, very brief, but it may have been a minute since you've had English 101. So it's really important that you get into the practice of proofreading all of your professional communications. That's just 100% imperative. You need to make sure everything's correct, that you're using proper grammar, that you're not using slang. Something interesting about language is, again, it really depends on your audience, right? As to how technical your language might get. Say you're a med lab tech, and if you're talking in-house to other people who do what you do for a profession, you can throw in a lot of technical jargon, right? But if you're trying to communicate to an outsider, you're either going to have to define that or omit it altogether. So really thinking about your individual word choice, thinking about clarity, brevity, those are what I really want you to focus on for this memo. So don't overthink it. Yes, it really is that short. Yes, it really is that simple. Dive into it. It'll be a good kind of get your feet wet, ice-breaking kind of assignment, and it'll let me get to know you a little bit. If you have any questions, give me a holler. Otherwise, do be sure to look at the other material posted for the week, including my other video that I'm making about workplace writing. All right, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.